Welcome to Today we will be discuss about the DLR application techniques in the Rockwell switches, especially part 5 of 6. Okay. So what are the things that we are going to discuss in the part 5? So if you missed part 1 to 4, please subscribe to our channel. In our channel we have created a playlist. In the playlist you can see missed parts. The session is going to be very much useful for you who want to get exposure to the DLR application techniques in the Rockwell switches and the devices. Okay, what are the DLR features of the static switches? How many rings that can be supported in a static 5400 and 5800? How a single switch, single VLAN is enabled without VLAN trunking in the DLR? How a multiple ring, multiple VLAN can be created in the switch using the DLR? And how multiple ring, multiple VLAN created with no VLAN restriction? And how multiple ring with DHCP server and multiple VLAN created in the DLR? Now multiple ring with DHCP server and the multiple CIP VLANs created the DLR. So in our discussions we might be using this ETAP devices, statics, 5400 and 5800 for our discussions. So what are the DLR features? In the DLR we have redundancy gateway, DLR DHCP, multiple rings and VLAN trunking. So all these things we have discussed already, just we are going to study the basic definitions regarding it. So what is this redundant gateway? As you can see here, we have two switches. Apart from it, we have so many access switches which are being connected with. So these are the basic distribution switches. As you can see here, this will act as a primary. So the node will be 1 for it, and it will be 2, and this will be 3, 4, 5 and 6. Whenever this fails, in order to monitor and control the entire networks, this redundant backup gateway will act and it will try to monitor these devices. Okay, and also both the devices have the capability to connect with the outside network devices, okay, using the different VLAN IDs. So, but whenever you are making physical connection, before making any sort of physical connection, try to configure each and every device separately and then make the physical connections. Okay, and most importantly, the switchover time will be from 14 microseconds to 6.1 seconds. Okay, whenever a network fails, the redundant network takes time of 14 microseconds to 6.1 seconds. So here let us have a simple example. Okay, consider the port A. The port A will be the port 1 and 2 will be the DLR access ports. These ports A and B. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, consider this C and D part. This will be the redundant uplink ports. C and D where we are going to connect your cables. Okay, and these ports will be going to be used as a DLR access ports, and these are non-DLR assigned ports. Most important thing is that traffic flow restriction from backup gateway to the ring includes CIP, that is common industrial protocols, and the device manager traffic as well. Okay. So, as a traffic management, okay, in the web page data, it should use these paths as a mandatory one. Okay, and what are the important consideration when you are making the redundancy gateway device requirements? Both active and the backup gateway switches of all the devices on ring must have the firmware that supports the redundancy gateway. Firmware updation should be there. That is the first point. Second point is that connection to the device wire or through the DLR network can be lost when the gate over changeover happens. So DLR devices does not support the redundancy gateways. Okay, if the connection device wired fail, the DLR will not support. Okay, that's the thing you need to consider if there is any disconnection in the wire. Next, what are the consideration? First and foremost thing is that for the best performance in the DLR redundancy gateway, keep these things in the mind. First thing is that keep the critical data within the network. If you are trying to form 3 different networks, within the network try to keep the critical data. Okay, do not directly connect the device that must communicate with the DLR or either the active or the backup redundancy gateway switch. You can connect the devices in the linear topology or star topology. Okay, to the redundancy gateways if the device can tolerate the long period of network isolation. Okay, and most importantly, the multicast conversion time can be higher than expected for the following type of traffics which occurs in the uplink ports. That is IEC 155 CIP sync traffic or the multicast produce or consume tags. Okay, as we told earlier, there are so many options in it when you are going for the multicast traffic and the redundancy gateways. Okay, so when your most important thing is that when you are facing any multicast traffic inside your switches, please enable these extended flood and soil query. Okay, so that you know the instability can avoid. Okay, so where you can enable these switches, most importantly the IGMP snooping queries must be enabled, and the IGMP queries need to be enabled in two important switches. One is access switch and the distribution switch as well. Okay, so whenever you are making the DLR DHCP, okay, first thing you need to make is that the switch can only assign IP address to the ring where these conditions are met. First thing is that DLR DHCP is properly configured on the switch. That is very much important. And the second thing, it should be configured as a ring supervisor, and all the connections in the rings are complete. Then the ring is healthy with no faults. Okay, so then only you can assign the IP address to the ring devices. These conditions are very much important. Okay, next thing is that you can configure the static switches models as a DLR DHCP servers for the devices in the ring. Okay, this feature provides the IP address for the devices in the ring. That is the most important feature. Okay, so if you are making any sort of replacement using the boot P mode, please assign the IP address, then get them into the network. Okay, next the ring devices will receive the IP addresses changes from the switch when the ring converges after the loss of network connections. Important note, use automatic IP address assignment when wiring the DLR with the similar devices. The controller cannot detect incorrect IP addresses or identical in the wrong positions. Okay, this is a simple example of the DLR DHCP enabled devices. Port 5 and 6 are getting used. As you can see here, we are creating the pools. We are using the port 5 and 6 for it. Okay, and we are assigning the ring index number for this is the index number 2. The IP address is different, and this is 3 and 4 not at all required. It can be a static, and this is the 5th device. Next, if you are going for a backup, as you can see the differences. So this is the primary. Here the mode will be the supervisor. Here the mode will be the backup. Okay. If the primary of the phase, the following should happen when you are enabled the backup server. It is optional. Okay. It became an active supervisor. Okay. So the backup DLR server on the backup ring supports that and became the active DLR DHCP server. Okay. The most important activity that is going to do is that it will restore the network to the proper conditions. Okay. Next, why snooping need to be done? So as you can see here in this network, okay, we have a primary, we have a secondary backup. Okay. But in between, there is a possibility for this DHCP snooping devices. So it is enabled by the devices or the switches that are configured as a DHCP servers. Okay. Most important thing, it should be configured, it will be enabled as a default setting on the switches that are going to act as a DHCP server. In all the other switches, no need to enable them. Okay. So in this device, please disable it. These are going to act as a servers. So in this one, please enable DHCP snooping. Okay. So as you can see, these settings are enabled, and the total number of devices are going to be 6, and this is the primary IP address that you are going to use. This is in the ring 2. After making all the changes, please submit. That is very much important. And if you are creating the multiple ring, example, in a multiple ring which has a single switch, single VLAN. Okay, it cannot share the same single rings. Okay. The ring ports only functions as an access port. That is very much important. All ring port with the same ring must be assigned to the same VLAN. All ring port with the same ring must be configured as a same speed. So as you can see here, we have a single switch here. Okay, we have multiple rings: ring 1, ring 2, and ring 3. Okay, but the switch is only one switch. And for all these devices, you can use the same VLAN. The VLAN is going to be 100. Next is that we have another example with the multiple ring. Ring 1, ring 2 and ring 3. The switch is going to be only one, but we have different VLAN IDs. This is going to be 100, VLAN ID 100, and this is going to be 200, and this is going to be VLAN 300. This is another example. Next is that if the two switches are configured as a redundancy gateways, no VLAN restriction exists there. This is a simple example. We have switch 1 and 2. This is going to be the primary, and this is going to be the redundancy one. As you can see here, we have one network here. This is one ring, and we have another network here. This is the second ring. Okay, so here we have multiple rings, multiple switches. Okay, and there is no VLAN restrictions. And third most important, if two switches are not configured as a redundancy gateway, then each ring must have a separate VLAN ID. Consider here the redundancy is not enabled. It is going to communicate with the outside network, and it is going to connect with here, and we have three different VLANs, three different rings. Then you need to assign three different VLANs for these three different rings. Okay, and another example is that we have multiple rings, so ring 1, ring 2 and ring 3. Okay, we have DHCP server enabled. One will be the primary, the other will be the backup. So you need to assign the different VLANs. This is another example. Next, we have a DLR DHCP with the multiple ring 1, ring 2 and ring 3. Then the VLAN ID for this is 100, and for this will be 200, and for this will be 300. Okay. Thank you so much. Please subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon. If you want to know more and learn more, please subscribe. And if you like this video, if you want to share the knowledge with your friends, please share this video with your friends. Okay. So we are providing online trainings. If you are really interested, if you are a working professional, you can contact us. Our WhatsApp number is there, and email ID also there. You can send your queries. We can provide the trainings on Fridays. Okay. And if you want to listen to the entire videos, please subscribe to our channel and get into the playlist. Inside the playlist we created. Thank you so much.